Life may have felt like a relentless storm, burdening you with mistakes, regrets, and missed opportunities. But here's something you need to grasp. These moments of pain and struggle aren't the end of your story. They are merely chapters in a much larger narrative. Today we make the conscious choice to turn the page. Your past, filled with what-ifs and if only, has weighed you down long enough. That job promotion you didn't get, the relationship that fell apart, the chances that slipped away, they may linger in your mind, but they don't define who you are. They never did. Instead of seeing these setbacks as permanent scars, consider them stepping stones to growth. Today, we're going to reset your perspective and turn your past failures into a fuel source for your future triumphs. This isn't just a pep talk, it's a blueprint for becoming the person you were always meant to be. Why does this matter so much? Because right now, whether you realize it or not, you're fighting a battle with one hand tied behind your back. The weight of your past is limiting your potential, keeping you chained to a narrative that no longer serves you. It's time to break free from that grip. It doesn't matter if you're 16 or 60. It doesn't matter if you feel like you're at rock bottom or on the climb to success. This moment is your wake-up call. You have a decision to make. Are you going to keep letting the past control you, or are you ready to step into your future and rewrite your story? The choice is yours. So, let's dive in, take control, and begin a new chapter. One where you turn your scars into stars and your burdens become your blessings. Chapter 1. The Weight of the Past. Your past is a powerful force, and sometimes it can feel like quicksand. The more you struggle against it, the deeper you sink into its grasp. Those memories of failures and regrets replay in your mind like a broken record, trapping you in a cycle of self-doubt and hesitation. Think about it. How many opportunities have you missed simply because your mind whispered, "Remember what happened last time"? How often has fear of repeating the past paralyzed you from taking a bold step forward? This isn't just emotional, science backs it up. Our brains are wired to remember negative experiences more vividly than positive ones. This phenomenon is called negativity bias. In the days of early human survival, this wiring helped us stay alert to dangers in the wild. But today, instead of saving you from physical threats, it's often keeping you from thriving in your personal and professional life. You're caught in a trap of your own making. Let's break this down. Imagine you're carrying a backpack. Every time you've made a mistake, missed an opportunity, or faced disappointment, you've thrown it into that backpack. Over the years, that load gets heavier and heavier. Now, think about how fast you can move with all that weight on your back. Not very far, right? But the real tragedy is that this weight doesn't just slow you down, it affects everything around you. Your relationships, career, and dreams suffer because you're too busy wrestling with your past to fully engage with your present. You're not showing up as your best self because you're still tethered to an outdated version of yourself. And here's the hard truth. There's a twisted sense of comfort in dwelling on the past, isn't there? In a way, it gives you a built-in excuse to avoid risks and challenges. I can't succeed because of what happened back then, you tell yourself. It's like a get-out-of-jail-free card that lets you off the hook from pushing yourself forward. But let me ask you something. Is that excuse worth missing out on the life you could be living? Are those old stories worth giving up your future for? Here's the bottom line. Your past is only as powerful as the meaning you give it. Right now, you're letting it define you. You're letting it hold the pen, writing your story for you. But it doesn't have to be that way. It's time to take back control, snatch that pen, and start authoring your own life. Your past may have chapters of pain, but you can decide how the rest of the story unfolds. Chapter 2. Reframing your story. Here's a radical idea. Your past isn't a prison, it's a classroom. Every setback, every mistake, every faceplant into the dirt wasn't a failure. it was a lesson. Consider this. As a child, you learned to walk by falling. You learned to speak by making incomprehensible sounds. So, why should life be any different? Instead of seeing your past as a burden, think of it as a learning tool, a source of growth. The Stoic philosophers had this figured out centuries ago. To them, external events weren't what harmed us. It was our judgment of those events that caused the pain. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and one of Stoicism's greats, said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Let's break that down. Your past mistakes aren't inherently damaging. It's the meaning you attach to them that's causing you pain. The key to reclaiming your power is in reframing your story. The past isn't some unchangeable monolith that defines you. It's a raw material that you can reshape. So, how do we reframe our past into something empowering? First, stop viewing yourself as a victim. You're not some helpless passenger on the ride of life. Every hit, every setback, every challenge you've faced hasn't been a punishment. It's been part of your training. You're not a punching bag for fate. You're a warrior in training, toughening up for the battles ahead. Second, start asking the right questions. Instead of beating yourself up over past mistakes, ask, what can I learn from this? What did that failed relationship teach you about what you truly need in a partner? How did that career setback reveal what you're really passionate about? What wisdom have you gained from each so-called failure? Curiosity is your greatest tool for growth. Third, and this may sound surprising, practice gratitude. Yes, gratitude, even for the hard stuff. What if every bad thing that's happened to you was actually setting you up for something better? That breakup cleared the way for someone who truly deserves you. That missed promotion pushed you towards starting that business you've always dreamed of. Start to see your past as the catalyst that brought you closer to who you're supposed to be. Here's an exercise for you. Think of your biggest regret, the one that keeps you awake at night. Now, find 3 ways that experience made you stronger, wiser, or more resilient. Done. That's the power of reframing. You've just turned poison into medicine. Remember this. Your past doesn't define you. It refines you. It's not about forgetting what happened. It's about changing the meaning of those events. You're not erasing your history, but you are rewriting its significance. You're the author of your life story, and it's time to take the pen back. Chapter 3. Learning from failure. Let's cut straight to the truth. Failure is not your enemy. It's your greatest ally. Every time you fall, you're not falling behind, you're falling forward. I want you to think back to the last time you failed. Think of the sting of disappointment, the flood of shame, the wave of self-doubt. Now, imagine if you could take all that energy and use it to propel yourself forward. What if that pain could be transformed into power? Epictetus, another great Stoic philosopher, said it best. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Think about that for a moment. Your failure doesn't define you. Your reaction to it does. The power lies in your hands to determine whether failure will break you or build you. Here's a tough but important truth. Success is often a poor teacher. It can lull you into a false sense of security, making you think you've got everything figured out. But failure? Failure keeps you sharp. It keeps you humble, hungry, and always learning. Have you ever met someone who's never failed? Chances are they've lived a life of safety, never stepping outside their comfort zone. They're untested, unprepared for the real challenges that life throws. But those who've experienced real, gut-wrenching failure are the ones who develop resilience. Look at the people you admire, the ones who have achieved greatness. Do you think their path was smooth and easy? Absolutely not. Their journey was a chaotic mess of failed attempts, mistakes, and setbacks. Take Thomas Edison, for example. He famously failed 1,000 times before inventing the light bulb. When asked about his failures, he didn't see them as defeats. He said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That's the mindset of a winner. Or consider J.K. Rowling. Before Harry Potter made her a household name, she was a broke, divorced, single mother on welfare. 12 publishers rejected her first book, but she didn't give up. Today, she's one of the most successful authors in history. These aren't just motivational stories, they're blueprints. They show us that failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of the process. It's the stepping stone that leads you to where you need to be. So, here's what I want you to do. The next time you fail, and you will fail because you're trying and pushing yourself, celebrate. Yes, you heard me right. Celebrate. Because failure is proof that you're taking risks and moving forward. It means you found a way that doesn't work, and you're one step closer to finding what does. Remember this, the master has failed more times than the beginner has even tried. Every scar you carry is a lesson learned, and every setback is setting you up for a comeback. Seneca said it perfectly. Difficulties strengthen the mind, just as labor strengthens the body. Your failures aren't weakening you, they're forging you into something stronger, something better. Chapter 4. The Power of Present Focus. Here's a truth that many of us overlook. Your power doesn't reside in the past or in some distant future. It lies in this very moment. The present is where your potential exists, where your decisions are made, and where real change happens. Yet, how much time do you spend reliving past mistakes or worrying about future problems? For most people, it's far too much. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, shared a profound insight. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This simple yet powerful truth reminds us that our energy is wasted when focused on what we can't control, particularly the past and the future. The past is unchangeable, the future is uncertain, and the only moment that truly matters is right now. This is where your strength lies. Have you ever been so absorbed in something, a task, a conversation, a sport, that time seemed to disappear? Psychologists call this flow state, and it's when you're fully present, fully engaged, and performing at your peak. The beauty of flow is that it only happens in the now, and it's the space where growth, progress, and achievement occur. It's important to understand that focusing on the present doesn't mean ignoring your past or failing to plan for your future. It simply means not allowing them to dominate your mind and paralyze you from living in the moment. Your past doesn't need you to relive it. The future isn't even here yet, but this present moment demands your full attention. This is where you can take action and start shaping your future. Here's a challenge for you. For the next 24 hours, catch yourself whenever your mind drifts to the past or worries about the future. Bring your focus back to the present. What do you hear, see, or feel around you right now? What actions can you take at this very moment that will help move you toward your goals? The Stoics believed that external circumstances shouldn't dictate your happiness. Epictetus said, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has." How often do you truly appreciate the blessings you have in front of you? Or are you too consumed by regrets about yesterday or anxiety about tomorrow? Let me give you an analogy. Imagine you're driving a car. Your windshield is large, giving you a clear view of the road ahead, while the rear-view mirror is small because what's behind you is less important than what's ahead. Your life should be the same way. Focus more on where you're going than on where you've been. Here's the reality. When you focus on the present, that's where your true power lies. You can't change your past, and you can't control your future, but you can choose to act right now. Buddha, though not a Stoic, offered similar wisdom. The secret of health for both mind and body is not to mourn for the past, worry about the future, or anticipate troubles, but to live in the present moment wisely and earnestly. So, the next time you catch yourself dwelling on the past or fretting over the future, take a deep breath. Ground yourself in the present moment. Feel your feet on the ground, observe your surroundings, and ask yourself, what can I do right now to make progress? Remember, life isn't something that happens to you. It's something that unfolds in this very moment. You have the power to shape it with each choice you make. Are you ready to seize the present moment? Are you prepared to live fully in the now? Chapter 5. Breaking the Chains of Expectation. Your life isn't a script written by others. It's your story and you hold the pen. Yet so many of us are trapped by the expectations of others, whether it's society, family, or friends. But here's the truth. Their expectations are their limitations, not yours. The ancient Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu said, "Care about what other people think, and you will always be their prisoner." Let that sink in. Every time you allow someone else's expectations to govern your actions, you're locking yourself in a prison of their making. Think about how often you've held back because you thought, "That's not what people like me do," or how many times you've silenced your dreams because they didn't fit the mold that others created for you. Here's the hard truth. The world doesn't need another carbon copy of someone else's life. It needs the real, unfiltered, unapologetic you. Let's turn to another source of wisdom. Miyamoto Musashi, a legendary Japanese swordsman and philosopher, once said, "Do not fear death. Fear instead never beginning to live." Are you truly living if you're constantly trying to meet the expectations others have placed on you? Or are you living a life that aligns with your true self? If you're constantly living for others, you're not living for yourself. Challenge every should in your life. Question every supposed to. Are these your goals, or are they someone else's dreams for you? Remember, following the path of least resistance leads to a life of quiet desperation. Don't go quiet. Go boldly in the direction that sets your soul on fire, even if it means disappointing a few people along the way. Here's a practical exercise for you. Take a piece of paper and write down all the expectations that others have of you. Now, cross out the ones that don't align with your true self. Feel that weight lift off your shoulders. The Buddha said, "The mind is everything. What you think, you become." So what do you want to become? A people pleaser living someone else's life, or the architect of your own destiny? This isn't about recklessly rejecting everything or everyone. It's about tuning in to what truly resonates with you, shedding the chains of expectations that don't serve you, and living a life that's true to your deepest values and desires. At the end of your life, you won't regret the expectations you failed to meet. You'll regret the life you failed to live. So I ask you, are you ready to break free from the mold that others have cast you in? Are you prepared to embrace the person you were truly meant to be? Chapter 6. Shaping your future. Your future isn't a far-off place that you'll stumble into. It's something you create every single day with every choice you make in the present. Your past is nothing more than raw material. You are the blacksmith, and right now, this moment is your forge. Let's get one thing clear. Your future is not written in stone. The mistakes you've made in the past or the circumstances you're currently in do not determine where you're headed. Your future is shaped by your actions, your decisions, and, most importantly, your mindset. Seneca, one of the greatest Stoic thinkers, once said, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare, but because we do not dare that they are difficult." How often have you hesitated to act because you believed you weren't ready? How many times have you held back because you feared repeating a past failure? The truth is, you'll never be 100% ready. There is no perfect moment. Your future is not something that happens to you. It's something you build. And it begins in the trenches of today, through small, consistent actions. Imagine this. You're standing at the foot of a mountain. Behind you is the valley of your past, and in front of you is the peak of your future. Are you going to stand there, staring at the summit, paralyzed by its height? Or will you start climbing, one step at a time? Marcus Aurelius didn't mince words. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Your future isn't controlled by what's happening around you. It's shaped by what's happening within you. Now, take a moment to consider where you want to be 5 years from now. Picture it clearly. Got it? Good. Now here's the million-dollar question. What are you doing today to make that vision a reality? Because your future is being built right now through the decisions you make and the actions you take. Remember, every great achievement in history began with a single step. The Great Wall of China wasn't built overnight. It started with one brick. Your transformation starts with one decision right now. Here's a hard truth. Your past doesn't equal your future unless you live there. You are not a tree. You're not rooted in one spot. You have the power to move, to grow, to change. Epictetus gave us a gem of wisdom. First say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do. Dreaming about your future isn't enough. You have to put in the work to make it real. Take out a piece of paper and write down your vision for the future. Now, underneath that, write 3 things you can do this week to move toward that vision. Not next month, not next year, this week. Your future is shaped by your present actions. Every decision you make, every action you take, is a brushstroke on the masterpiece of your life. So, are you going to keep painting the same old picture, or are you ready to create something new? Your past has brought you to this point, but it doesn't decide where you go next. That power belongs to you. So, I ask you, are you ready to start building your future? Are you prepared to become the architect of your destiny? Chapter 7. Turning pain into power. That pain you've been carrying, it's not just a burden, it's rocket fuel. Every scar, every setback, every moment that brought you to your knees is a source of untapped potential. And now, it's time to ignite it. The German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, deeply influenced by Stoic thought, famously said, "That which does not kill us makes us stronger." But let's take it a step further. It doesn't just make you stronger, it makes you unstoppable. Think about it. Every hardship you've faced has shaped you, whether you realized it at the time or not. Resilience, creativity, grit, these aren't just abstract concepts. They are weapons you've forged in the fires of adversity. Let's get real for a moment. The most influential people in history weren't the ones who had it easy. They were the ones who walked through hell and came back with a map for the rest of us. Their strength wasn't handed to them. It was earned. Think about people like Nelson Mandela, who endured 27 years in prison, yet emerged as a leader of peace and reconciliation. Or Oprah Winfrey, who rose from a traumatic childhood to become one of the most powerful women in the world. These people didn't just survive hardship, they thrived because of it. They turned their pain into their greatest power. Here's the thing. The pain you're carrying has the potential to transform not only your life, but the lives of others. Your deepest wounds can become your greatest source of strength. Think about it. The failed business that left you feeling defeated could become the foundation of a mentorship program to help others avoid your mistakes. That heartbreak that shattered your soul could inspire art that moves others. Your rock bottom could be the bedrock for someone else's breakthrough. This isn't about slapping a smile on your face and pretending everything's fine. It's about acknowledging the reality of your pain, respecting it, and then using it as a catalyst for growth. The Stoics didn't advocate for emotional suppression. They believed in using adversity as a tool for transformation. They understood that suffering, when channeled correctly, could fuel greatness. Remember this: a diamond is nothing more than a piece of coal that handles pressure exceptionally well. Every hardship you've endured has the potential to mold you into something extraordinary. But it's up to you to decide whether you'll let that pressure crush you or refine you. Here's a challenge for you. Take your biggest pain point, the thing that keeps you up at night, and ask yourself, how can I use this? How can you turn this poison into medicine, not just for yourself, but for others? That pain could be the very thing that propels you forward, the fuel that ignites your future success. Your journey through pain isn't just about survival, it's about becoming stronger than you ever thought possible. The world's greatest warriors are those who have faced unimaginable suffering and turned it into their superpower. So I ask you, are you ready to stop being a victim of your circumstances and start being the alchemist of your life? Are you prepared to turn your pain into power and use it as fuel for your transformation? Chapter 8. Practical Steps for Change. We've covered a lot of philosophy, but now it's time to get our hands dirty. Let's turn these ideas into actionable steps, because as the saying goes, knowledge without action is impressive but useless. It's like having a Ferrari without any gas in the tank. First up, self-reflection. Every night before bed, ask yourself 3 simple questions. What did I learn today? How did I grow? What can I do better tomorrow? This isn't just journaling. It's reprogramming your mind to focus on growth, not guilt. Epictetus said, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has." Self-reflection allows you to see both the lessons in your mistakes and the progress in your achievements. Next, practice gratitude. Yes, you've heard it before, but it's not just some feel-good exercise. It's rewiring your brain. Every morning, list 3 things you're grateful for. They can be big or small, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you're training your mind to focus on what's going well instead of dwelling on what's going wrong. Now, let's talk about reframing your self-talk. Catch yourself when you say things like, "I always screw up," or "I'll never be good enough." Replace these with, "I'm learning," and "I'm getting better every day." The words you use shape your reality, so choose them wisely. Your mind believes what you repeatedly tell it, so make sure you're telling it something that empowers you. Here's a powerful exercise. Create a failure resume. Yes, you read that right. List your biggest failures, and next to each one, write what you learned from it. This isn't a pity party. It's a celebration of your resilience. It's proof that you can take a hit and keep moving forward. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Mindfulness is another key tool. Set aside 10 minutes a day to breathe and be fully present. This practice builds your mental muscles, helping you stay focused on the now instead of being trapped in the past or worrying about the future. Mindfulness helps you stay grounded and connected to the moment where your true power lies. Now, let's focus on goal setting. Don't just set lofty, abstract goals, reverse engineer them. Want to run a marathon? Start by training for a 5K. Want to write a book? Start by committing to writing 1 page a day. Break your big dreams down into small, manageable actions that you can take today. This approach ensures that you're consistently moving toward your goals, 1 step at a time. And here's a real game changer. Do one thing every day that scares you. It doesn't have to be big. It could be speaking up in a meeting, trying a new workout, or reaching out to someone for advice. This builds your courage and proves to yourself that you can handle discomfort. Remember, Seneca said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." By doing something that scares you daily, you stretch your comfort zone, and soon, what once seemed terrifying becomes your new normal. Finally, surround yourself with growth-minded people. Find mentors, join groups, read books by those who have overcome similar challenges. Your environment shapes you, so make sure it's shaping you in the right direction. You can't climb to the next level if you're surrounded by people who are stuck at the bottom. I know what you're thinking. This sounds like a lot of work. And you're right, it is. But ask yourself this: is the life you want worth the effort? Are you willing to work to become the person you know you can be? Remember, every master was once a disaster, and every expert was once a beginner. The difference is that they didn't let their past define them. They used it as a launch pad. So, which of these steps will you start with today? Which one resonates with you the most? Because here's the truth. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. Your future self is watching. What will you show them? Chapter 9. Overcoming Challenges. Let's face it, this journey isn't going to be a walk in the park. You're going to face obstacles, doubts will creep in, old habits will try to pull you back. But remember this, the obstacle is the way. Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Think about that. Every challenge you face is not an obstacle. It's an opportunity to prove your strength, to sharpen your skills, and to become better than you were before. The first challenge you need to face is the voice in your head, the one that tells you you're not good enough or you'll never change. Here's how you silence it. Action. Prove it wrong every single day. Remember, you are not your thoughts. You are the one who decides which thoughts to believe and which ones to discard. Next, let's talk about your comfort zone. It's cozy there, isn't it? But nothing grows in the comfort zone. Seneca nailed it when he said, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare, but because we do not dare that things are difficult. So, get uncomfortable, embrace the suck. That's where growth happens. There will be setbacks. You'll have days where it feels like you're back at square one. But here's the truth. Setbacks are setups for comebacks. Every time you fall, you learn how to get back up, and stronger. It's not about never falling, it's about always rising. People around you might not understand your growth. They might try to pull you back to your old self. Epictetus had some wisdom here. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Their opinion of you is none of your business. Your growth is. There will be days when motivation fails you, but that's where discipline kicks in. Motivation is fickle, but discipline is reliable. Build habits that pull you toward your goals, even on your worst days. You might feel like an imposter, like you're faking it. Good. That means you're pushing your boundaries. Remember what Aristotle said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Keep showing up. Keep doing the work. Eventually, you'll become who you're pretending to be. Perhaps the hardest challenge of all is patience. In a world of instant gratification, real change takes time. But ask yourself this: where will you be in a year if you keep pushing forward? And where will you be if you give up? Here's a powerful exercise. Visualize your future self, thanking you for not giving up, for pushing through the hard times. How does that feel? Let that feeling fuel you. Remember, every hero's journey includes challenges. Without the dragon, there's no hero. Your challenges aren't stopping you from becoming who you're meant to be. They're shaping you into that person. So, I ask you, what's your dragon? What's the biggest challenge standing between you and the life you want? Name it, face it, and remember, the bigger the dragon, the more glorious the victory. You've got this. Not because it's easy, but because you're strong enough to handle hard.